Good morning. What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday. And yes, it's a bye week, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a bye or any kind of Longhorns discussions today. Man, we got the announcement time of the Florida game. We got some permanent schedules that have come out. I got AP poll, coaches poll, so media yesterday. And then we also have my power rankings, which I'm putting out a little bit early. There's no Jason Sukamel today. Jason's on vacation. So I decided to typically have my Wednesday show. I just moved it up to a Tuesday. So good morning to everybody. I hope everyone's doing really good. And let's get into a couple of little things here. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And good morning to obviously Stephanie, Courts here, Benji, Money B, all y'all are in here. Rodolfo, Mr. Puente, who I had a chance to meet this past week. So all of you guys, good morning to everybody. All right, couple of things. Man, we can rehash some of the conversation that Ketch and I had, aka a debate. But let's get into some of the news from yesterday. Because I did a morning show, and then once I do a morning show, like all this crap happens afterwards. So we'll cover it. If you don't know, you probably already know this. In a couple of weeks, they announced that Texas Florida game was going to be a 2:30 kickoff for us. If you're in Central Time, 3:30 if you're on the East Coast. I guess when a team only has one win, it's not as sexy. So we kind of get lumped in the middle of a lot of different games. You'll have Kentucky at Georgia, which could be an interesting game to start off that day. And then you got Vanderbilt versus Alabama, which is a revenge game for Alabama, which is crazy to say, but it is what it is. A revenge game for them. But Vanderbilt has played extremely well. We'll have Texas versus Florida. We'll talk more about that. I asked Sarkisian about that yesterday, and he had a lot to say. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. We've got Kent State versus Oklahoma, which is just basically a win. And then the later game, which should be really interesting, Mississippi State at Texas A&M, Kyle Field, all the way live on that evening. So they put the TV schedule out. It's at least for all of us who are traveling. If you are traveling, I don't know where you guys. If you are traveling, I don't know where you're traveling into. You can. People have asked me, where to travel into. It's kind of one of those that if you are looking for convenience, then Jacksonville is the place to travel to if it's just purely convenience. If you're actually looking to enjoy yourself in a city, then you either go to Tampa or Orlando and just drive in and drive out. It's a couple hours. But that's probably the best way to do it. You could go into Gainesville, of course. You could try to do that. But, some of these SEC cities, it's just easier to go to the major airports and then drive in. So, in any case, that happened. So we know that. Then there was another thing. Just some housekeeping stuff real quick. They also came out with some annual opponents. And that actually looks really horrible. But nonetheless, that does not fill up the screen like it should. But anyway, we'll go through this. Nonetheless, they came out with their, so the SEC was going to move to 9 permanent games, and not conference games at least. And so now, as a result of that, you guys are going to. Oh yeah, Stephanie, I'll get into that for a second. Yes, give me a second, Stephanie. Let me just do this. So there's been so Texas now, their 3 permanent opponents are going to be A&M, Oklahoma, which is which we expected, and then Arkansas, which was expected too. It's all kind of like regional rivalries, as you can see. Georgia probably ends up with the easiest haul of them all because they get Auburn every year, Florida every year, and of course South Carolina. Honestly, Honestly, I think the SEC missed out on a good opportunity. If I'm just being quite honest with you, I would trade in a heartbeat. I would trade the Arkansas game for Georgia every year. Just if you just tell me, and look, I'm sure Georgia would probably trade the South Carolina game if they really needed to. I think I would absolutely traded those. And yeah, just let South Carolina play Arkansas. I don't care. But it kind of is what it is. But I think that the SEC missed out on an opportunity to really build on a rivalry that is really just has been a strong one. You know, even with Georgia, like again, I would have put out even Alabama just to make sure these good teams play each other every year. I mean, I think I would have loved to have seen that. That's not how it happened. You see A&M, they get Missouri, LSU, and Texas, you know, every year. You know, Oklahoma gets, you know, they kind of get screwed a little bit because they get Missouri, Ole Miss, and then Texas every year as well. And again, you can see how I don't know who has it quote unquote easy or not. It probably just depends, you know, because on that. But anyway, that's kind of the annual opponents, and so that's starting in 2026. You can just bank on those programs, you know, basically adding in Arkansas, and again, went to Arkansas. Didn't hate it. Had a good time there, but you know, nonetheless, that's what you know. That's kind of where that is. Now, where was Stephanie? Stephanie had a question for me, real quick. Oh yeah. So okay, so here's what happened. The post game thing, because I haven't been on the past two. So first of all, I'm going to be on from Florida. So one of them. So what it had to have been UTEP or something, I think. And I don't know if it's been the last three. I don't know. I can't remember when anyway, all I know was, Stephanie, is that I had left Sark. I had came back up to hop on the show, and they had already decided that, hey, you know, everything's kind of faded out. So they decided, all right, let's go ahead and go. And so they cut the show short. I know last week I was just told, like, hey, just don't worry about it. It's probably not going to be a lot. You know, we may not have a lot of people watching. So I think there's a thought process that by the time I get up there, it's like an hour in, and some of you guys are kind of drained at that point. So, but when we go to conference play, Stephanie, though, I will be on every single post game show. But yeah, so it's nothing crazy. They just logged off. Everyone just logged off, and I didn't get a chance to hop on. It just kind of is what it is. Maybe they didn't. Maybe Catch subconsciously didn't want me to call him out for all his Arch predictions / Arch being better than Quinn predictions / K Klubnik being better than Quinn predictions. And maybe he just didn't want to hear it. And so magically the show ended before I had a chance to come on and give my 2 cents. Maybe y'all think it's possible. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so we also had a couple of other things that happened. Let's do the AP poll came out. So the AP poll came out and so here we go. This covers the screen. He's pointing at it. And it looks like Texas dropped, actually. If I don't have last week's AP poll, but I don't remember them being 10th. For some reason, I thought they were 8th or 9th for the AP poll, but somebody out there might know. Ohio State, Miami, Penn State, LSU, Georgia. As you can see, Oklahoma is ranked there at the number 7 spot. Yes, Ketch and I debated that at length yesterday. I'll talk a little bit more about that today. With FSU, A&M, and Texas, they're at the number 10 spot. Indiana there. No problems there. And when I get into my power rankings, I'll go into my thoughts on Texas a little bit more, but I don't think anyone could really argue against that. Where's Vandy? Oh, Vandy's at 18. They dropped 70 on a program. Like, Vandy dropped 70. I got to give them some sort of credit for that. And then, of course, you've got Michigan there, USC, Notre Dame, Illinois, TCU, and BYU. And then as far as the coaches are concerned, where the hell is this photo taken? What year is this? Why is it in the dark? What the hell? Why does this look like I have so many horrible thoughts. Man, why does this look like some old like like some Remember the Titans? Like they had never mind. It's so horrible. Like they made the photo into color. It's like Steve Sarkisian went down south. Never mind, because the more I go with it, the worse it's gonna get. So let me it looks like an old photo that they converted. Like, why is it so dark? Anyway, all right, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, LSU, Oregon, Miami, and Texas at the number 7 spot, followed by FSU, A&M, and Oklahoma there. It's a photo. It's just so, it looks like some, I don't want to say it because it always say whenever you think you're going to say something funny or clever, you should probably not say it. So let me just let it go. Iowa State with follow my own advice. Texas Tech is making a surge there at the number 14 spot. And man, you Micah Hudson right now. That's a tough situation because they're winning without you, and so now you kind of become optional for them. That's tough. Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia Tech, Missouri, Michigan, Missouri out there. Vandy at the 20 spot. Notre Dame, USC, Illinois, BYU, and TCU hanging in there at the 25 spot. It looks like a photo from like the 40s or 50s or something like that. I'll say it off air. But some people might be able to figure out what I'm thinking. All right. So that's kind of where we are there. All right. So now I'm trying to think which way I want to go with this one. Because I got some Sark audio from there. Maybe I'll go into the Sark audio first, and I'll go into my power rankings a little bit. Maybe we'll set it up like that. So as Texas is in this bye, Sark addressed the media yesterday. And for me, one of my things is, I feel like once we get out the bye, it won't take us long to really, really know where Texas stands and where Texas is at. I think Florida, I was watching that game yesterday. I was watching the Florida-Miami game. It was on repeat, so I decided to watch that last night. And Florida's defense is good. Their offense is not, which is crazy. And we'll have the 5-star quarterback conversation at some point, right? But nonetheless, that's one of those, okay, as much as I don't think highly of Florida, that will be, probably Napier's last stand. He's probably got, I don't know, maybe the Georgia game before he gets fired. Like, I don't know how far they go into that one. If they do fire him, I do think Florida should hire John Gruden as their next coach. I know you can say, well, Bill Belichick didn't work, but I don't think John's not going to have those kind of distractions with him. I can say that. Anyway, and he's a big name, and I think they can afford him. So nonetheless, I think once we get to Oklahoma, those are some programs that I feel like there's going to be some instant tests right there. Now they get past those two programs, then I'm saying, okay, you might be outside the danger zone. There's Kentucky. The offense is not that good. Their defense is really good. And then Mississippi State is 4-0. But then they've got Vanderbilt. So you'll see, I asked Sark about it, and you'll see he'll go down the list of the opponents. And really, you're going to see all the respect that he shows for Florida. This might be a team that we look at and say, they look like trash, but sometimes look could be deceiving. So if you didn't get a chance to check this out, here we go. Let me give you some audio here for you Tuesday. Don't worry about that. It's far away. It'll get closer. More audio.
Yeah. 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 I think it's just you start evaluating our schedule, and I'm as excited as anybody to watch a little football on Saturday. There's some great games. There's a great weekend of college football, and some high level games are going to get played not only in our conference but around the country. So that part's I think fun for us to take a step back to see that. As far as our schedule goes, um, our some of the teams in our conference have some really brutal schedules, and I look at Florida and just kind of the gauntlet they've already been part of, and they're at LSU one week and the next week they're at Miami, and they're playing really well defense. I mean, these guys are playing at a high level. I think they held LSU to 13 points on offense. The one touchdown they scored was a pick six, on the road to hold those guys to 13. I mean, and they're holding Miami to 13 points until about 4 minutes to go, or 16 points. But no, I think it was 13 with about 6 minutes to go in that game. And so they're playing at a really high level defensively. And naturally Billy's a really good offensive coach, and they just haven't found their groove quite yet offensively. But going to the Swamp, there's people that would argue it's the toughest place to play in the country. We've got two coaches in our office that have coached there before and have said it's the loudest place they've been. And so you just know you're going into a hostile environment, and you're going up against a quality opponent, which we just started looking at them, and I don't have all the details on those guys, but I look down the road of what the rest of our schedule is starting to look like. Naturally, after Florida, we're going to play in the Red River rivalry against OU, who's as hot as any team in the country, and they're playing great defense, and the quarterback is playing at a high level. Got a chance to peek at them a little bit in the first half last week. And then you go to Kentucky at night and shoot, they had Ole Miss on the ropes in that game. And then you start talking about Mississippi State, who's already knocked off Arizona State at home, and they've got a big game this weekend against Tennessee. And then I believe we have a bye. No, we get Vanderbilt, who shoot, all they do is they're back in the top 25, and they went into South Carolina and won. And then you get a bye, and I think then we go to Georgia, and so they play Alabama this week, and they've already won at Tennessee. And then you get Arkansas, who they took Ole Miss to the wire, and then you get A&M, who's as hot as any other team in the country. And so it is what it is in our conference. I said that all along about the SEC. It's like, as physical as we know as it is, and we all know, it's like you turn on the tape of Florida, the first thing that stands out is that front. And those guys are really, really good. It's the mental grind. You have to do it every single week. There is no gimmies. And I said this before. There's nobody in our league that says they looked at their schedule and say, oh, yeah, that's a win. That you better come ready to play, because everybody is well-equipped coaching-wise. Everybody's well-equipped personnel-wise. And there's some tough places to go play that you gotta be mentally prepared to play as well as physically prepared to play.
That was a lengthy answer. There's another question here, but that was a lengthy and a good answer, by the way, a thoughtful answer. And I appreciate the length and the detail into which he answered the question. But that one was good. Text bond. I hope you saw that everyone wished you a happy birthday yesterday, by the way. All right, let's get to the second part of it. Rodolfo's birthday. Rodolfo's birthday is this weekend, if I'm correct. So text bond, was yours on Monday and Rodolfo's is Saturday? Is that how it goes? I think I'm pretty close.
I wonder what the tricks or strategy of them saying, hey, Team X is really good, saying it every day.
Don't worry about you not hearing the question, because the microphone is a little bit ways away, but you'll get the answer though.
Well, I think the one thing our guys that we have in our locker room right now, we have a bunch of guys that love football and they like to watch football. And so one of the easiest things to do is turn on the tape. And when you turn on the tape and you watch overall schemes is one thing, but when you watch the particular player that you're probably going to be competing against and you see the level of player and the way they play to go with the scheme and what they're asking them to do, it usually gets our guys' attention. Like I think back to last year, I remember going to Vanderbilt and turning on the tape, and it didn't take long to get our players' attention. Like Pavi is a really good player, and was like, okay, this guy is tough. He's competitive. They've got a great scheme. The tight end was a weapon. Like our guys, it was resonating with them quickly. To the outside world, it was Vanderbilt. To our guys in our meeting rooms, it was like, these guys are really good and they're going to be a challenging team to compete against because of the way they use the strengths of their team. And so I think that's the thing, is that we got to show them the tape. Because the records a lot of times in our conference, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose every week. And so, there's 16 games, whatever, how many there are this weekend in the SEC, 16 teams, there's 8 games. There's going to be 8 winners and 8 losers. And over time, you start working your way into November, not everybody's going to be, 6-0. There's going to be a 3-3 or 2-4 team that's still a really good team. They just lost a couple of heartbreakers there at the end of the game. That doesn't mean they're not a good team. And so we got to show them the tape to reemphasize the quality of opponents that we're playing.
All righty. Yes. Put the birthday stuff in there. Text box, she's a Virgo. That's a water sign, right? So yeah, that means they're pretty cool peoples. Usually pretty easy to get along with. Hold on, we're gonna get into my power ranking stuff in a second, real quick. Money B said, "Hey, talk to Catch about letting Cody and Alex go live a few times a week." Yeah. The hard part about that, and I heard what Michelle said. The hard part about that is when we put too many live shows in, it's just like it kind of crowds the live feed. Cody and Alex actually have found their niche, quite honest with you, with the recorded shows. And there's a lot involved, and Michelle can probably explain that a little bit to you, the live audience versus the kind of record audience, and you're kind of attracting two different things, but they do really well as far as that is concerned. So maybe a live, you'll see Cody and Alex today on the modcast. So you'll see them at noon. So you will definitely be there. And they'll be on live. Micah overplayed his hands like no one has. Truer words have never been spoken. Texbon says, I cannot wait to go to the swamp and experience it. Just hope I don't have to throw a Florida fan in an actual swamp for talking trash. Well, if that happens, I will make sure I delete this portion of it for you. We'll have plausible deniability. It would have never happened. But don't go Aaron Hernandez, because Aaron Hernandez was allegedly doing those things while he was in Florida. But you're having a good time. Nonetheless, the swamp is a fun place. It's a crazy place as well. And then Benji says, I was supposed to go, but all my money is going towards my youngest daughter's quinceañera for next April. Oh, yeah, that's I don't know if you've ever been to one of those quinceañeras, but boy, oh boy, that thing is a production. Benji does have to save up for a year. He does have to save up for a year. That thing is crazy. Chose Columbus over Gainesville. Insert choose poorly gift. No, you got a chance to go to a historic stadium at Ohio State. You'll have an opportunity to go to Gainesville in the future. So I wouldn't stress over that. But it wasn't the worst choice in the world. But boy, all right, now, here we go. I haven't put this out yet anywhere. You guys are the first to see it. Money B says, stop playing around. Let's talk about it. Here are my power rankings for week number 5. Georgia still in the top spot. No changes there. No need for any changes there. Georgia was that, they're still the number 1 team until proven otherwise. I still have Oklahoma at the number 2 spot. No change from me there. They beat Auburn. Sure, it wasn't the prettiest win. You would expect a team that is able to get 10 sacks to win by more than 7 points, right? But at the end of the day, it is a win is a win. Mateer didn't look amazing, but he's good enough. I think Ketch and I just differ. I think Ketch and I just differ on the assessment of quarterbacks. I think that's just kind of a thing. We just see things a little bit differently. But Oklahoma's number 2 at this moment. I'm keeping LSU at that number 3 spot. Again, no real change for them. They beat Southeast Louisiana. It kind of is what it is. They're undefeated. So there they go. A&M, obviously based off of last week, is still there. And Vanderbilt, no real change for me. Vanderbilt dropping 70 on Georgia State is all I need to know. Is it Georgia State? Yes. Is it Vanderbilt dropping 70 on Georgia State? Yep. So if Vanderbilt is dropping 70 on you, I got to give you credit. I can't worry about what this thing will look like for Vanderbilt 4 weeks from now. That's not how voting for me goes. Voting is just right now, present day. What are you seeing? And they have the better quality wins at this moment. What happens when they play against a Texas and in Alabama and all those things? I can't worry about that at this moment. All I can do is worry about where they are right now. Mississippi State, here they are. They move up 2 spots. Do I think Mississippi State is, the earth, moon, and stars? Probably not. But right now they are undefeated. Right, so and the win against Northern Illinois was nothing to write home about, but they do have a quality win, which was beating Arizona State. So I have to give props where props is due. I moved Texas up 2 spots, so yes, I did have them at 9 last week. I moved them up to 7 this week. And again, there's an argument to be made, and a fair argument if you could say like, hey, they should at least be at number 5. I think that's a fair argument to say, look, they have 1 loss, and that's against the defending national champions. That's still more impressive than what Vanderbilt and Mississippi State has done, and I can hear that argument. My only thing with Texas is, okay, I've just only seen them look really good in 1 game, which was last week. And now I've seen the defense play consistently, but I'm still like, it's just been 1. So that was 1 enough for me to say, okay, you went out and did what you're supposed to do. So I will move you up 2 spots to that 7 spot. And look, there's time that clearly they go out and beat Florida, they beat Oklahoma. They're definitely my top. Hell, beat Oklahoma, you're probably top 2 for me, arguably number 1, just to see how it goes. Tennessee at that 8 spot, they dropped 1 for me. Missouri, all right. I've told you I don't care about this team, but they're 4-0. They beat South Carolina. It's hard to can't knock Ahmad Hardy and what he's doing over there as well. So Missouri has got my attention. They beat South Carolina. I hyped up. I thought South Carolina could be something special. That might not end up being true. they may end up being way worse than I thought. My whole thought process of Beamer for Venables. Well, Beamer, at least I like you. There's Ole Miss at the number 10 spot. Alabama. I'm just waiting. I just need Bama to get some quality wins in here. Get some quality wins on the schedule. I'll move them up. I did drop Auburn. They did drop pretty far for me for that loss against Oklahoma. The problem is for me, once they got that loss under their belt, then then I have to ask myself, how much did I really care about that Baylor victory? How much am I really sold on Baylor? And right now, Baylor's 2-2. They lost to Auburn and they lost to Arizona State. So I have to look at that Baylor win as nothing that moves my needle. So that's why I had to drop them down to the number 12 spot. I've got South Carolina hanging in there at 13. Kentucky, yeah, there they are. I mean, they didn't play. The problem is the teams that behind them are the ones that played. Arkansas loses to Memphis. So they lose to Memphis 32-31. And then there's Florida, which has been my last place team for the past couple of weeks, and they lose to Miami. And I know Sark says they're a good team, and I do believe Sark in what he's saying, but they're just bad. And that whole Billy Napier thing is just that they will eventually pull the plug on that one. But Florida, for me, right now, if I have to rank the worst team in the conference, it's Florida. And that's probably the coach who, at this point, hell, if you start looking at it, Florida, Pittman, those are going to be the guys who probably might end up being the first to go when the season is done. Good morning, by the way, to everybody else. Someone just popped in. Sark After Dark said, good morning. So when we go down the list, the thing to always remember is that, and we go into this every season, and my allergies are bothering me today, by the way. If we go in every season and you say to yourself, all right, this is a win, this is a win, this is a win, this is a win, and then inevitably, this is why I say there's always going to be a team that looks better than you anticipated. And so all of a sudden, you start looking at it, you're like, well, Oklahoma looks better than we anticipated. Mississippi State looks better than we anticipated. Vanderbilt looks better than we anticipated. And now all of a sudden, when we start getting out of the bye week and then get into that stretch of games, it's going to be hell of a competition and a hell of a ride. And, of course, we'll break down tons of things Florida related as we get a little bit closer to that. But that there was just a little morsel. That there was just a little taste. All right. Listen, for all y'all birthday people who are here in the chat, whether it's Catherine, whether it's Rodolfo, everybody else has got a birthday. Hell, my mom's birthday is this weekend. In fact, her birthday is Sunday. I believe she turned 76 years old, Mama Richardson. So who does not look like it, by the way. We'll do a birthday shout out for her on Friday. And now that Bo is here in the chat, we can definitely end the show. Yo, everybody go out, have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us, Oklahoma. Show's over. Live each day like it's your last. One day it will be. Y'all take